So let's start in a seated position. Helps us feel tall, alert. We'll connect to our Ujjayi breath. Using both tailbone and skull bones as reference points. Try. Oh, of course. I know exactly. That should solve everything. Of course. So let's begin. So we'll take a seat. Helps us feel tall, alert, relaxed. We'll connect to our Ujjayi breath. We'll use our tailbone and our skull bones as reference points. Reference points to demarcate an entire body core of spaciousness. It's kind of sensing into this entire area from skull to tail. Deepening breath. Allowing the eyes to soften. The shoulders, the abdomen. We're going to begin rounds of Kapalabhati. So short, sharp exhalations. Feet active will begin. So moving out of Ujjayi breath. About 10, maybe 20 more pumps. we'll pause. We'll separate the legs into straddle. So we're in a seated straddle. Inhale, set the hands down by your hips. Press. So the abdomen relaxes as the ribs telescope up. Bring the hands slightly in front of the thighs. Swift, thorough exhalation. Everything out. Allow the chin to relax toward the sternum. Draw the belly in and back and up. Glide the shoulders away from the neck. Relax the belly when you need a breath. Resume just one or two Ujjayi breaths. We'll do one more round. Uddiyana. Inhale. Exhale everything out. Remain empty. Chin near sternum. Shoulders moving away from neck. Draw the belly in and back. Lifting up. Release when you need to breathe. Inhale, walk way up. Walk your way up. Resume your Ujjayi breath. Now, searching with your breath. In and through the space of your body. It's kind of noticing, feeling the landscape, the contours, the densities, the transparent areas, the valleys, the openness. We'll change the cross of our legs once more. We'll move our feet into Baddha Konasana. Soles of feet together. I'll do one more round of Kapalabhati. And with each pump, it can be quite specific. Sensing breath moving in and through this interior space of the body. And more precisely, that slender area that we call core. When you're ready, do about 30 or 40 pumps. Begin. I'll use the hands by the hips. Inhale, pressing down, abdomen softens. Pause, retaining, absorbing. Bring hands forward, swift, thorough exhalation. Remain empty, draw the belly in and back. Release when you need a breath. Final round, Uddiyana. We'll start us off, fingertips by the hips. Press, inhale. Let's move directly to exhale. Bring the hands forward, swift, thorough exhalation. Remain empty. When you release, continue folding forward in Baddha Konasana. Just changing your breath into that Ujjayi breath, those deep inhalations, widening through the ribs. Lengthening through the chest. Release. Inhale, walk your way back upright. Help your knees together. Lie on back. And we'll work some rounds of abdominals. So when you lay back, bring the feet off the ground, knees over hips. Interlace hands behind head. Inhale, float the head, the shoulders a little bit off the ground. Shift the tailbone. Exhale, reach out through the left leg. Elbows turn. Turn them face the right thigh. And sink the belly in. Inhale. Bend the left. Keep the shoulders up. Can't emphasize that enough. Keep the shoulders up. Doesn't have to be a lot, but just keep the shoulders up a little. Shift the tail. Exhale. Right leg out, reach. Elbows turn, face left thigh. Sink the belly in and down. Inhale, bend the right knee. Let's do two more. Then we'll take a pause. We'll change style a little bit. You might get a much clearer sense of pelvic floor involvement by leaving one foot on the ground as you do these. You set the feet down for a moment. The switch that we'll do is reaching up through the heel. So we'll begin again. Inhale the head, the shoulder blades a little bit off the ground. Shift in the pelvis. Exhale, raise, reach the left heel up. And slightly internally rotate. So you may see your toes turning in a little bit. Elbows reaching toward right thigh. Sink the belly in and down. Inhale, bend the left knee. Keep the shoulder blades up. I can't emphasize that enough. Keep the shoulder blades up. You'll feel your mid-spine, mid-ribs on the ground. Exhale, reach out through the right heel. I'm reaching straight up, rotating in the whole thigh and the leg. It appears that the toes are turning in, but it's the whole leg turning, not just the ankle and the foot. Pull low belly in and down. I'll do a couple more like so. Inhale, keep the shoulder blades up. Exhale, reach up through the left heel, turning the whole leg and thigh inward. Reach up, pull low belly down. Inhale, bend left knee. Exhale. Right heel, reach up, turn the whole thigh bone in. Pull with the low belly. Do one more each side. I'll watch you. There you go. Keep these shoulder blades up because one, it does warm the muscles all around the abdomen, which is to warm and move the muscles around the back. And then two, so we did some back bends yesterday. So just want you to feel how these moves benefit each other across days and frequency of use. And we'll be working straddle lifting through. So let's bring the legs up and then separate them widely. Inhale the head and the shoulder blades up. Exhale. And sinking the belly. Softening through the neck. Let's do a few more. Continue. About 5 more. So all of these poses taken together, some of which focus a bit more abdominally, some which bias the hips, some which bias the back, all of these taken together. It's about kind of going and moving and, I won't say scouring, but observing and sensing and exploring every bit of the body. And as we're conducting these whole body views, searches, feels, note when or where you feel bothered or even a little bit irritable. Doesn't mean you have to feel irritable, but notice and sense where there's a fluctuation in the quality of attention. Sometimes that's how we'll start to pick up on, I use the phrase shadow material, but really just uncovered, just little s self parts. So we're consciousness, we're spirits, still sleepy a little bit. The moments we feel bother, they're great indicators. We're just using our body as just a place to practice that. I'm saying bothered. It can be quite subtle. It can be not very irritable, right? Again, it might just be a fluctuation in the quality of our attention. We were able to play with the eyes and the field a little bit yesterday, and how the eyes and the field are playing into the heart's coherence. In my mind and map, these are all very related. And to investigate a bother helps us feel bothered less. So one of the kind of net results of all of this yoga as we're setting up for bridge is we feel more, we're bothered less. With the feet set up for bridge, inhale. Exhale, shift the tailbone, buttock lifts, spine lifts. To help you access the buttock muscles more than the back muscles, push down through the forefoot so the heel lifts. And when the heel lifts off the ground, send the hips higher. So feel the back sides of the legs and muscles turning on. And once you feel the backs of those muscles on, keep them on. Settle the heels down, but keep the butt on. So a little setup and bridge, a lot of extra leg muscle support. Lower down out of bridge. So here's one more indicator, one more way that we can kind of identify these moments or areas, shadow or bother or contraction, and really the self-contraction. Little fluctuations in the quality of breath. There might be little moments where we almost stifle or hold our breath for a moment, and then we remember and we resume. That's a great way, a great place to help us identify these little self-contractions. So let's turn over. We'll set up for dorsal fin. So just a reminder, dorsal fin will be raising one arm, one leg away from the wall, perhaps joining them behind our back. Now, you might have the luxury of a lot of wall space. You're welcome to use wall to help you balance. So let's say you do want to use the wall. The side of your body that goes to the wall, it might be helpful to keep that side arm down. So I'll just say what I'm doing. I'm setting up my right side near the wall. So when I'm thinking through dorsal fin, I'll probably leave my right arm down. Why? This will give my left hand the freedom to reach behind my back. Okay. All right. So setting up dolphin. Exhaling, we'll come into dolphin, knees off ground. So if you're leaving your arms down, maybe it's a shoulder thing, you can still play a leg up with us. So we'll be taking the right leg away from the ground. And it's perfectly acceptable, right, to just play with weight shift through the shoulders. That's another way to play with the shoulders. If you are taking arm away from ground, you'll be taking the left elbow and then maybe the left hand. Reach back, search for that ankle if you can find it. So the right leg is up, the left hand is searching for the right foot. And we'll set the hand, the foot down. Set the knees down. For those of you near the wall, you'll just want to turn 180 degrees. And we'll just reset. On exhale, here we go. So the leg that's nearest to the wall, if you're using a wall, will be the one we elevate. And if you're playing with right hand grabbing left foot, there it is. And letting the hand down, the foot down, the knees down. Good. If you aren't by a wall, we will go to a wall. So, lunges at the wall, part 2. I'm going to start with my left side, my left knee rather, tucked into the corner, and foot up the wall, lots of padding. Make it nice. The first one, we're just shifting subtly the hips toward the wall. Growing through the low back. Okay, part 2. Shift the hips now toward the front heel. Use the arms to lift, move, kind of spreading all that tissue. And now deeply breathe under all of that tissue. These little fluctuations of breath, fluctuations of attention, emotional fluctuations, right? These are indicators. Just picking up on indicators of self-contraction or shadow or uninvestigated bits. Okay, but places where spirit still a little sleepy in body, in nature. All right, in part 3, walk this foot forward about 6-8 inches. And then we'll lunge forward again. So diminishments in breath. Those moments where we try to just diminish our breath or diminish our attention, or where it wavers. Release, we'll trade sides. The import of recognizing shadow work is multifold. It's part of the how do we notice that which we can't notice. So we have to kind of look for clues. We get lots of clues in the world. The person who always ticks us off, that's an indicator. Part 1 is we're moving the hips toward the wall. So here we are on the other side. But when we're working on our kind of our individual mat and our individual body, and the person that ticks us off is not in the room, the person passing us on the right isn't in the room. How do we get to know the things that we can't see? We look for these little indicators. To me, they're like little Geiger counters. Look for those little fluctuations. I like this pose, I like this pose. All of a sudden, I didn't like that pose. Ah, interesting indicator. What's there? Part 2, sink the hips up forward, away from the wall. I was breathing deeply and voluminously, and then all of a sudden my breath shrank up. Interesting indicator. What there? And 3, walk the front foot forward about 6 inches or so. And release. All right, let's move away from the wall. When we stand, we'll step into a warrior 2. Let's go right foot forward. Why not? And inhale, reach your arms out to the side. Exhaling, gliding the shoulders down. Outreaching through the pelvis, the legs. Deepening breath. So we can use our drishti as an indicator. We can use our breath as an indicator. We could use our attention, just where we're tending to notice, tending to feel, as indicators. So the way that I've come to understand, right, is so part of the value of putting ourselves in a place and we minimize options like I focus on one place or I'm in one pose, then these tendencies to exit, quit, evade, distract, those become the indicators. Deepening breath. We'll move into a chest opener. Place the right forearm on the thigh. Inhale, raise the left arm up. Exhaling, lift up through the left arm, reach back. So in a sense, reducing options helps kind of elicit the indicators. Right, when I'm content, I'm less bothered. This is not at all about stifling our responses. This has nothing, zero, zilch, to do with suppression of impulses, but to notice the impulses in finer and finer ways. Inhale, lower the left hand beside the hip. Interlock. Exhale, take the right arm down, armpit next to thigh. You can either palm the ground or lift that right arm under the thigh. Connect. So we go directly into the pose so we can maintain, be in the pose. And it might be as subtle as I just want to fix or adjust the feeling of my clothing in the pose. That might be your indicator. That can be a subtle form of distraction. Bother. Self-contraction. Release. Inhale, let the hands down, the left knee down. Okay. We're going to walk into pigeon. But I'm going to talk us through a little bit. Because a lot of times our pigeons are biased toward one feature of our hip. So let's take a moment and kind of line things up. The ground is okay. Sometimes what's better is if you have a bolster. I'm going to use 2 blocks. You don't have to do this. If you don't have the props, don't worry about it. I'm going to let my knee and shin be elevated. This does 2 things. It lets my foot be free enough that I can actually hook the foot. Okay. When the foot's being pressed on the ground, most of us will lose those last little bit of little toe extension, active foot. And 2, you can really get the hips kind of moving. They're not stuck to the ground by our weight. Okay. So one of the ways we kind of bleed off tension in the pigeon is our left hip is quite a ways further back than our right hip. How would I know? It's taking these 2 hip bones and just seeing which direction they face. So I turned my pelvis purposefully so I know my pelvis is facing like 10 o'clock. So generally it's moving that left hip around and just generally getting the pelvis to face 12 o'clock, straight ahead. Because the hips are elevated, the right hip's not stuck to the ground, you might feel a little bit more going on in that outer right hip. Combine that with being able to flex that right foot more fully. And then feeling there's fluctuations of breath, deepen breath. There's a lot of fluctuations in how your eyes rove your visual field. Just let them start to find some area, horizon or a little bit out in front, directly beneath you. But that you can feel the eye movement grow quieter. Again, these aren't suppression techniques. That's not the interest. It's about identifying the self-contraction, contacting it, feeling it, knowing it, noticing it, and feeling how it can soften, open, and ergo, we gain more comfort or okayness being in our body. It's about growing more and more friendly or okay being in our body. Inhale, walk the hands under the shoulders. Exhale, downward dog. All right. So just a few poses, starting with warrior 2. Inhale, left foot forward. So we get more and more comfortable in high states of arousal. We get very comfortable in low states of arousal. We grow very comfortable having and experiencing every single emotion that is possible to feel. But we get very comfortable in a multitude of energy states, a multitude of emotional states, a multitude of kinetic or postural states, a multitude of focal or attentional states. Chest opener. Inhale the left forearm to the thigh, raise the right arm. Exhale, raise, reach, chest opener. We bias the heart. We breathe into the chest. Do the eyes grow relaxed? Do the eyes start to furtively move this way, that way? Does the head pull up? Am I looking for an out? These are indicators. So it's one of the reasons I love being able to hold a pose for a few breaths. Just like a miniature, a micro silent retreat. Inhale, lower the right hand near the hip, interlock. Exhale, slide that left armpit down. Instead of trying to fix it, just how do I breathe here? How do I soften eyes, deepen breath? Because often when the self is contracting, the visual field's contracting. The breath is diminishing or contracting. Right? They're all tied into each other. So that's why we can look at the eyes. We can look to these highly high electric places in the body. All right, release, pigeon. If you've got a bolster or a couple of blocks, go ahead and lift the shin up. If you don't have it, it's okay. If I had a piece of furniture, I might just put my foot up on a couch. Like, that's another way to do it. But it doesn't have to be a big ordeal. I'm just elevating to show that when the foot can freely, without pressure, when the hip and the foot aren't being smushed against the ground, we can get the foot often a great deal more active. And then just noticing the direction, if you will, of the pelvis. The navel, the bones of the pelvis. Are they forward facing or are they right facing? You might have to walk that right leg around. Walk the right leg behind your hip. Inhale the hands under the shoulders. And exhaling, we'll press back, downward dog. All right. Softly set the knees down. We're going to do Virasana or half Virasana. So a couple of things. You may need some props to get you started. Let me get one blanket just to show you. So strap, block, and maybe a little extra something under the torso. So let's say, I needed to sit on a block for my knees, let's just say. Okay. Because that block's kind of high up, I would need my back to be about the same height or higher. So I might stack a bunch of bolster there. Okay. So this way, as I sit back, walk back, lean back, you'll have to stack up enough something, pillows, blankets, I don't know what you've got there, to be able to lean back. Okay. If you don't need to sit on anything, that's another way. It just depends on your knees. So I've got my right foot tucked in half Virasana. Okay, so that might be one of the moves. If you're feeling pretty well settled into the ground, you can get a hold of your left foot with a loop or with your hand. And we can start to draw this left leg toward our chest. My preference for others, is that your Virasana knee remain in contact with the ground. I don't love it when the knee is flying around in the breeze. So I'll use the props that I need to keep the shin and the knee on the ground. So again, just talking through it again, you might need to elevate your butt, and you might need to elevate your spine. And release. We'll switch sides. You might find it easier to set up just by tipping to a side, drawing the foot back. You release. Shavasana. The openness and the expansiveness that we explore coming out of self-contraction is very precise, and it's precise in the way that it's not, say this as well as that openness coming out of self-contraction is precisely a more whole, more coherent, more embracing expansion. So that we don't conflate it with just tending to something else, calling it expansion or release, or just roving over there, out there. It's very precise in that we sense it with our body. The motion is directly connected to our self-contraction. Kind of the movement from self-contraction to openness or expandedness. And it's increasingly more embracing. There's more wholeness and coherence. Maybe you experience this as a deeper, fuller breath, or a breath that contacts and touches more and more and more of your person. Or a visual field that's quieter and broader. When you're ready, bend knees. Turn to a side, use both hands, press to seated. Namaste.